I got this camera in my senior year of high school. This is one of the first photos that I've made with it. After high school, I went to FIT and my plan was to become a fashion photographer. I pretty quickly realized that fashion wasn't my thing, and I found myself drawn to oil painting and art photography. I didn't really know what I wanted to make work about, but that didn't really worry me at the time. I was in college, so I was just trying to figure myself out, like most college kids. I carried this camera with me every day though, and I shot everything, and I slowly started to realize I was making work that was simply about color itself. The work was also about this feeling of negative space around me. I think I was really influenced by the painters I was really into at the time. The best thing about this camera is that you're rewarded for carrying it everywhere, because the camera does anything you ask it to do, and if you know what you're doing, you can comfortably get any result that you're after. I can set this camera without turning it on and without even looking at it, and I never find myself fighting with it when I'm trying to actually get the shot. In terms of user experience, that's pretty much all you can ask for. One of my favorite features is the flash control, because I shoot with flash a lot. You can turn it on and off really easily, and you never have to worry about cycling through menus, which is perfect. The lens is beautiful. Its rendering is not as contrasty as the lens on the Contax cameras. It's beautiful in its own way. It's the lens that made me fall in love with 28mm, and now the finder is so full of dust that I can barely see the frame lines, but I know the focal length so well that I don't really need them. During my last semester of school, I broke my ankle pretty bad. As I lay on the sidewalk screaming for help, I took out my GR1 and I made this photo. Becoming stationary definitely changed the way I looked at things and pushed me further into abstraction and painting. This is probably my favorite photo that I've made with this camera, and it perfectly demonstrates that it will do anything you ask it to do, and it really does reward you for bringing it with you everywhere. After 10 years of love and abuse, this is how the camera has held up. I do have to tape up the back to prevent light leaks. The top LCD is dead, as are on most of them. I tape up the flash, but just to soften the light, there's nothing wrong with it. The lens is full of dust, and that doesn't really matter because it still renders beautifully, like this. Nowadays, I mostly leave it on snap mode and at f5.6, and I use it as a photo journal and for snapshots of my girlfriend, as seen here in Christmas pajamas. There's a lot of debate whether this camera and other 35mm point and shoots are worth their price. For me, the answer is yes, and for the reason being the size. You don't have to decide whether you want to bring a camera with you, which means you'll never miss shots. The lens is remarkable, and the ergonomics on the GR1 are the best ergonomics of any camera I've ever shot. You have to be okay with the idea that it will eventually die, but that's just part of life. We all die. The Ricoh GR1 is the most special camera I've ever shot.